Well, how's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another uh, live stream. Doing a late night one. Um, let's see how it turns out again. But I just figured I was just a little bored, and I just felt like doing a live stream for a little bit. Um, Wait for some people to get in here, but obviously you guys know that that the name of the stream obviously is Screen Talk, but as you all know, we could talk about whatever you guys want. So it doesn't have to be just about that. It could be about anything else, but it has to be horror related. Let's say like Halloween, be Halloween, Friday the 13th, all that stuff. Like nothing else other than that. There's horror movies. Is all. Um, I don't really like talking about other. I mean, maybe for a little bit, but I don't want to get off the topic of like. I don't want to get off topic like Scream, Halloween, Friday the 13th, because this is a horror channel, so I try to keep it to just that. Um, but we're, you guys could talk about whatever you guys want to talk about in the comments and whatnot. But um, I just want to throw that out there because I know a lot of people feel like don't they feel like they have to just talk about Scream, like. But you could talk about we could talk about Halloween. We could talk about Friday the 13th, even. I haven't really talked about that much on the channel. Um, in regards to that, obviously, I don't know what's going on with the movie. I know that they are. I've heard that they were trying to make another one. I just don't know when. Um, but yeah, we could talk about whatever you guys want. Like I said, but I might talk about like Friday the 13th for a little bit till some people get in the chat. I I don't know what's going on with that, honestly. I've heard the news that it's coming back. Um, because as y'all know, there was like a rights issue with that franchise. Um, Everybody, there was like a lawsuit issue, so they had to quit. Obviously, the video game Friday the 13th, the video game. Obviously, they were going to update that, but they couldn't update it because of lawsuit, and that's why that's why I haven't seen a movie in so long, um, since 2009. So the main question is are we going to see another one? I think that we will. It'll probably be another. I would say probably another couple years, more than likely. But I haven't heard any other news like in regard to that, so I have no idea what's going on with that. And also, with Nightmare on Elm Street as well, which I don't know anything about that either. All I know is that Blumhouse is trying to make those movies again. Um, other than that, I don't know what's going on with those movies. Friday the 13th is one of them that the one that I feel like it's been gone for quite a while, along with Nightmare on Elm Street. Just those two franchises that's been gone for quite a while. Everybody wants them back, and I do too. It's been long overdue. We haven't had one since 2009 of Friday the 13th, anyways, and then the last Nightmare on Elm Street was in 2010. So it's just it's just crazy to think. We have all these horror icons, still like still like trending, like these movies, the Scream franchise came back. You got the Halloween franchise obviously came to an end probably for the next 10 years or 5 years. But I'm thinking it's going to be 10 years from now. Um, then you got um, then you got the Leatherface Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which that came back. There's a lot of movies that came back. The Child's Play, they came out with a TV series of that. Um, and yeah, I mean the only movies that are out of the picture really is Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th. I mean that's it. But everything else is pretty much back has been back for quite a little bit. Um, and those franchises that just really went back, in regards to like Robert Englund, coming back to play Freddy Krueger. I don't know if he's willing to do it because of his age. I'm thinking that he will. I, it's kind of hard to say right now. I have a feeling that he probably could do like one more movie, um, but who knows? I guess I know his age kind of took a toll on him. So he's pretty old now. He's in his 70s, and he's not young no more. So I mean, that's who really knows. Do I want him back? Absolutely, I want him back, but I don't know if we're gonna get him back honestly because he's just too old now, and I don't know if he's willing to do that kind of stunt work again. You know, especially with his age. But in regards also to back to the Friday the 13th, right? Like Friday the 13th is people felt like, in the Freddy vs. Jason movie, obviously you guys know that Kane Hodder played Jason in part six, or no, part seven, part eight, and part nine, and then Jason X. So he played Jason four times. Oh, and Jason, yeah, I said that. I said Friday the 13th, The New Blood, Friday the 13th, Jason Takes Manhattan, and then obviously Jason Goes to Hell. Obviously, he played Jason in that. And then he played Jason also in Jason X. So that's four. He played Jason four times. And people were speculating about, like, why wasn't he in Freddy vs. Jason? Well, I had heard rumors that I don't really know what was going on, honestly. A lot of people were wanting him to play Jason in that movie to do the stunt work or whatever because he was in the other films, obviously. Um, for the four other films before that. So I mean, that's just I would have preferred him a little bit more, but I understand. Like the guy who played Jason in this movie and Freddy vs. Jason. I mean, he's all right. I wouldn't say he's the best. If I had to rank him, I wouldn't say he's the best. You know, I would kind of say that he's probably one of the worst, honestly. I didn't really care for him as Jason, the person the stuntman that was like, playing him in the movie. Like, I just didn't really I didn't care for him, like, as much as, Kane Hodder. It's just a total difference. Kane Hodder just brings a different, atmosphere when he plays Jason. Um, so that's why he's like my favorite. But I don't know. There's been a lot of rumors about, about him, like about money or something like that. I think it was about like a money issue, I believe. Maybe he wanted some more money and he didn't, they weren't, giving him enough. I have no idea, but um, that happens a lot in studios. A lot of people just are greedy with money and just don't like paying what certain people are worth, I guess. So, but I don't really know if that's really what happened or anything like that. But I've heard a lot of rumors that there was some like heat between Kane Hodder and the studio. I mean, so I don't know which is true. People just come up with rumors, of course. I don't know like which one is true, but um, it's very interesting. But I would have preferred him to play Jason in that film just because Jason is. I think Kate Hodder played Jason the best. Like, yeah, I liked what's his name? The stuntman that played him in part six and part five, or especially part six. Um, for some reason, I can't think of his name right now. The person who played him in part six. I don't know much about Friday the 13th like that. Um, the only person I really know is Kane Hodder. Part six, I think, was one minute here. I remember his name, dude. Believe me, I remember his name. I just got to think about it here in a minute. Um, so yeah, Kane Hodder is just one of the best. You know, a lot of people were talking about him possibly transitioning to playing like Michael Myers, which I've always loved that idea because he played other horror icons. He was involved with playing Leatherface. Uh, he was a part of the the Hatchet franchise. Um, he's played other he's played Jason. He played Hatch, the Hatchet franchise, and he also played in this movie called Toe. I don't know if y'all heard of that, but it's a pretty good movie. Um, so the one and only icon that he's never played and he's never done stunt work for is Michael Myers. Like that's the only person, the only icon that he would really like to play. He said that many times in interviews. Um, that's no secret. He's always wanted to play, Michael Myers. Um, he said that many times because that's the one, person that he never got to play. Um, so that's just that'd be very interesting to me. A lot of people are speculating, is he going to come back for another Friday the 13th? I would think so. I mean, as long as the studio approaches him and asks him, if he will do it, I'm 100% certain that he would. You know, I'm 100% certain that he would. I mean, there's just no doubt in my mind. He loves playing the role of Jason. He loves doing stunt work. He'll do anything for anybody, I'm sure, you know, as much as they like. So, I mean, that's what I think anyway. So, um, but the possibilities of him playing like Michael Myers is just, that would just be so cool, honestly. Him transitioning his aggressiveness, from Jason to Michael Myers, like, that would be pretty epic. But, um, so I don't know, like, if he is gonna come back. A lot of people are speculating and saying that he is gonna come back. Um, which I think it's a possibility. I guess he's never said never because Jason X was like his last film that he did. So I would love to have him back for sure. Um, and also, even if it was just like a fan film, okay, which a fan film I guess doesn't really count as much because people want to see an actual like official like film like that comes out in theaters that's licensed by a real movie company and all that. Um, so even if it was a fan film, though, I think that I wouldn't mind that if he decided to do stunt work in like some kind of fan film. Um, but I don't see why he wouldn't want to do it in a real movie either. Like if they decided that, you know, this whole lawsuit issue, which I think has been resolved, I believe. There's been talks about another movie coming out. So I don't know, like what, um, if he's going to come back or if he's going to return or not. But there's been a lot of speculation. You know, people wanting him to come back, and I said that before too. I said that that's the one person that I want to play Jason again is, you know, Kane Hodder because he hasn't played Jason since Jason X. And then also, um, and Jason Goes to Hell. I felt like he was wasted in that movie. He was absolutely wasted. Like they had Jason in that movie within only like 2 seconds of the film, or maybe 5 minutes into the film. Like, and then they just killed him off in some drastic way. They decided to, blow him up, blow him up and whatnot. Then he's not in the film for most of the movie, and then he comes back at the end. So he's basically like possessing people, which is weird on itself. Like it was just a complete disaster in my eyes. I just felt like he was just That's the one movie he was wasted in, I believe. Like with Jason Goes to Hell, he wasn't even in that movie that much, you know. Um, which that's pretty disappointing, pretty disappointing to me. Um, and the only problem with that's not the only reason why I hate it. Why I hate Jason Goes to Hell, and don't get me wrong, by no means. Like Jason Goes to Hell, the Jason in that movie looks so badass. Like, excuse my language, but that Jason in that movie looks so badass in my eyes. Like, but it was just wasted. That look of Jason in that movie is just wasted. Had he been in the movie more, and if he was in the whole movie like like a regular, Friday film, then I would have liked it. But he wasn't in it as much, and it was mostly like a possession movie, which I don't like because what's the use of seeing regular human beings that's not Jason kill, somebody, and it's not Jason. And you say, well, they were getting possessed by Jason, so therefore it's Jason. No, it's not. Because they're not wearing the mask. It's not the actual character. He's not wearing the hockey mask or anything like that, right? They're not wearing hockey masks. So that's basically my problem, with it. And it's similar kind of to Halloween 3, um, where we don't see Michael like at all. But now I will give, Jason Goes to Hell a little credit. At least we got to see Jason a little bit. You know what I mean? As to Halloween 3, we didn't see Michael Myers like whatsoever. So, um, but yeah, that's basically my only problem with it. I mean, it's just I don't get into it as like other people do. A lot of people think that, and the kills are pretty good for the most part, I would say. I mean, the kills are pretty damn good. But at some point, you know, after a while though, like it kind of gets a little boring, because it's not actual Jason. It's not actually Jason, the character doing the killings. So that's just my main problem with that, personally. But you know, what can you really do? I guess a lot of people like certain stuff, a lot of people hate stuff, and people got their own opinions about movies. But me, I can't, I just can't like the kills in the movie are pretty damn good. Like I said, it's just not the character, you know. It's not the character Jason. It's not the character. So if it's not the character doing the killings, then what the hell? Why does it matter? You know that's just the way I look at it. Um, so, but other than that, I think Jason X was a step up to the plate. I think Jason X was definitely a step up, even though Jason X did have some, cheesy moments, in that movie. It was still, I think it was a step up, I think it was better than, Jason Goes to Hell. Um, and Jason Goes to Hell, I think the only good part about that movie is probably when you see Freddy's glove grab Jason's mask. I think that's probably like the only like good part. Like you see, Freddy's glove come up and he grabs Jason's mask, like at the end. Then they say that basically teasing that we will get Friday or Freddy versus Jason movie, which didn't come for like 10 years, but which we knew that they would, and then eventually after Jason X, they came out with Freddy versus Jason, like so. Um, so yeah, it's that's the only good part. Another one that I really like, and it's probably my favorite. It's probably Jason Takes Manhattan, which that movie's pretty underrated as well. A lot of people don't like it because half of the movie's on the cruise ship, but um, I think that movie's pretty damn good. Honestly, I think it's pretty underrated. Um, a lot of people had problems with the title because most of the people were most of the movie was on the cruise ship as opposed to in New York. Um, so that's why a lot of people had a problem with that movie. Um, but me, I didn't have a problem with it, honestly. I think I liked it a lot. Definitely better than Jason Goes to Hell. And obviously, the New Blood is great as well. It's pretty damn good. Um, but yeah, man, trying to wait for some people to get in here. But yeah, that's the main question. Now I'm gonna kind of transition into like Halloween and all that a little bit. Um, And by the way, I think I'm gonna start trying to make more like, Friday the 13th um content as well, just because I don't really talk about it as much. Um, there's really like no news or anything. There hasn't been any news that I know of. I could have missed something. Um, but that's the one, franchise that I don't really talk about as much. And also Nightmare on Elm Street. I don't really talk about that as much just because those franchises been pretty much like dead, for a while. Um, and I really want them back, but I'm gonna talk about like Halloween and all that though. Like, so Halloween is expected. Well, we don't know when the next one's gonna come out. After the downfall of Halloween ends. Um, Now a lot of people are speculating, saying that Halloween ends or Halloween. The next Halloween movie will probably be in another 2 years, at most. A lot of people are also saying that Halloween, the next Halloween movie could be another 5 years, which I don't really know what to believe. I think 10 years. I think that makes the most sense. 10 years, I think, makes a hell of a lot more sense than
5 years. Just because after the Rob Zombie films, obviously, um, it took like 10 years for, the franchise to come back. So that's why I kind of feel like it'll probably be like another 10 years or so. Um, and I'm not saying that that this is what they're going to do, but this is what I want. Okay. I want them to do a, sequel to Halloween 4, which Halloween 4 is definitely underrated in my eyes. I think the look of Michael Myers in that movie was it's pretty damn underrated to say the least. Um, I think that the look of Michael Myers in there is probably one of the best. Like, okay, yeah, the first 1978 Halloween was pretty damn good. Obviously, that's always gonna be the best. But Halloween 4 seems like it's just like I don't know, the look of Michael Myers in that movie is just so spot on. Like it may look different, but it looks perfect in my eyes. I just liked it. I think it's like my favorite look, personally. Um, and as opposed to like Halloween 5, obviously I have my problems with that. You know, Halloween 5 is just the mask looks too much like a witch. It's just not for me. Um, I wish they would have, figured out how to bring the Halloween 4 mask, bring it to Halloween 5. Um, but I still like Halloween 5 overall. Halloween 5 is not like a bad movie or anything. I think it's a pretty good film. I just didn't like the look of Michael Myers in that movie. It just looked too weird. Um, but anyways, Halloween, right? The new Halloween movie. We don't know when it's gonna come out, right? We don't even know if they're gonna make another one, but we're just assuming that they will, right? Because there's just no way that that they're gonna just quit making it. Um, so there's a lot of rumors, speculating, about what it could be, like what location, like what it's gonna be about. Is it gonna be a new timeline? And I say that I say yes. I think it's gonna be a new timeline because like why would they do a follow up to Halloween Ends? I think it's just gonna be like a whole new like timeline. Um, it just makes the most sense. But also, there's something that I've always thought about too. Obviously, it'll probably be like the same characters that we've seen probably in the other three. Well, the ones that obviously like lived. Um, Now Jamie Lee is not coming back. I don't think, anyways. I think Halloween Ends was like her official like last like movie. Um, but I think that's there's a lot of speculation about like Danielle Harris coming back. You know, I've heard a lot of rumors about that. That could be pretty damn good. I've always wanted that. Um, and there's rumors about the sequel to Halloween 4. Um, so that's definitely something that I want. You know, that's something that I've been wanting, and I just don't really know what to think about it. As opposed to like the Donald Pleasance, thing. Like with like Rob Zombie's films, like the main problem that I had with those is that basically they made Donald Pleasance look like a dickhead, like straight up, like somebody that he wasn't, like in the old movies. Like they made him look like a total like dickhead. Like I don't know what the hell they were thinking. in those films. But you could somehow, reference him or something. I wouldn't mind that. But to bring him back and like into like the picture again, I don't really know. I just kind of think that they should leave the Donald Pleasance thing, just leave the Dr. Loomis thing alone. You know. Um, did I say Donald Pleasance? Excuse me. I meant Dr. Loomis. Donald Pleasance is the one that played Dr. Loomis. I don't know. Um, Dr. Loomis is like they made Dr. Loomis look like a dickhead, and the Rob Zombie films. That's what I meant to say. If I think I said that, I think I said Donald Pleasance. Excuse me for that. I meant to say Dr. Loomis, the character. Um, so they made Dr. Loomis look stupid, basically in um Rob Zombie's Halloween. Both of the films it's made him look stupid. Um, all of a sudden he's some kind of evil person. Like it's just I don't know. It's just ridiculous. That movie, the first one was bad, but the second one I think the second one was like the kills were pretty good, but it was just I don't know. Michael Myers, unmasked. He unmasked himself, too many times. Um, he was pretty much like talking in the movie, and that one part, with the like the horse and all that, that just gets a little weird, for me. Um, but yeah, I just don't like when people like rehash like stuff. People rehash like the first Halloween movie, the first Rob Zombie, Halloween film. I would say was a little better than the second. Okay, but the first Halloween film, the first Rob Zombie film was just like okay, they basically rehashed like the same. It was basically like a rehash of 1978, which I don't like that. Like they basically try to copy all the like most of the scenes. Basically had the same characters in the movie, just different actors. It's just I didn't like that at all. Like I just don't like when people do that. It's like it just seems like people just think that the studios just think that the original isn't good enough, so they have to remake it. Like you know, but that's probably my only problem with it. Other than that, I didn't really. I think the second one's far more like worse than the first one. I think the first one was pretty damn good, to be honest. I think it was definitely better than the second one, um, for sure. But the kills in those movies, a lot of people just think that it's too nasty. And me, I don't really think it's too nasty or anything like that. Like I don't think it's nasty at all. I just think that they're pretty damn brutal. That's all I can say. I mean, I don't really have a problem with it. Um, but I hate this narrative, that people use. People say that, oh, Rob Zombie is better than John Carpenter, um, and this and that. Okay, Rob Zombie is not better than John Carpenter. First of all, because if he was better than John Carpenter, if okay, if John Carpenter never existed and John Carpenter never um if John Carpenter never existed and never made the Halloween films, I don't think Rob Zombie would have even known. I don't think he would have even made it. Like so for people to say that he's better than John Carpenter is just absolutely ridiculous. Um In terms of why? Like in terms of what? Like why is he better? You know, that's the question I ask. Like why is he better? You know, I don't see anything that he's better. You know, I don't see anything about Rob Zombie that makes him better than John Carpenter. Like, okay, the only thing that makes him okay, the only thing that Rob Zombie did that was pretty damn like cool was probably the kills. All right, the kills are pretty damn graphic. John Carpenter was never into that shit, but Rob Zombie's films are pretty damn graphic, pretty brutal, far more graphic than John Carpenter's. Uh, so people like that, kind of shit. So they go off of that and say, well, that makes him better than John Carpenter, like just because of the brutal kills. You know, and it's just like back in those days when John Carpenter made these films, they didn't have he was never about that. He was never about the brutal kills. You know what I mean? He was never about that. So that it's just absolutely ridiculous when people say that. Um, but but nonetheless, John Carpenter is a legend. He always will be. Um, and also I heard that John Carpenter had told Rob Zombie that he could basically do basically whatever he wanted with the franchise. You know what I mean? Um, I guess he said that he could basically do whatever he wanted. Before Rob Zombie decided to remake the movie. Um, he basically told him that he could do basically whatever. Like, and basically, I guess Rob Zombie was. There's a lot of backlash, a lot of like heat between them two. Um, John Carpenter, Rob Zombie going at it with each other. Heard a lot of rumors about that. Um, but I guess it is what it is. Hopefully, I just hope that Rob Zombie doesn't come back. Because I felt like he just absolutely ruined the franchise. You know, like the kills were probably the only best part about it. Resurrection, people shit on that, but Resurrection at least was way better, way more less cheesy than Rob Zombie's films. You know what I mean? Okay, like Resurrection by no means is perfect. All right, like I understand that Resurrection has its problems, but Resurrection at least doesn't. I wouldn't say it's as bad. I think it's definitely a lot better. Like, but a lot of people shit on that movie. Shit, a lot of people shit on uh, H2O as well, which that's one the one movie that people absolutely despise. Like a lot of people, I think a lot of people hate on Resurrection a lot though. And people say that Resurrection is definitely the worst film for sure. But me, I just don't. I beg to differ on that. I don't think it's. I don't think it's bad. Honestly, I think it's. I think Rob's. I think Resurrection is probably the most underrated. Honestly, a lot of people hate me saying that, but I think it's pretty underrated. Um, but yeah, man, it's kind of getting late here. Bet you everybody's sleeping. Um, and whatnot. But hopefully, maybe somebody will come in here soon. But But yeah, I'm gonna basically, transition into um, Scream and whatnot. So Scream 7 is in um, it got greenlit, which we already know, but we just don't know like when the release date will be. Um, we don't know anything like that. Obviously, it's been a lot of rumors saying that it could come out in the next 2 years, I believe. And I think that sounds about right. 2 years sounds about right. Um, I think 2 years is definitely 2 years definitely makes like the most sense in my eyes. That's because it's a trilogy, and as you guys know, Scream 2 came out in 1997. So Scream 3 didn't come out until 2 years after. So that's why I think that they're going to go off of that and decide to release it 2 years, like 2 years after. Um, because it'll be 2 years after, Scream 6. I don't know if that's what they're trying to. I don't know if that's what they're going to try to do. Um, that's just my my thing on that. Um, I definitely think that that's a possibility. I think that that's definitely what they're going to try to do. Guarantee it. Probably it'll be another 2 years at most, just because a lot of people are going to be expecting it a year from now, but that's just not. It's just not. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be another 2 years now, as opposed to like the whole like Nev Campbell return and all that. We don't even know if she's going to come back, but that's certainly something that people have been wanting. You know, something that a lot of people want, including me. We got a person in here. What's up, Scott Walker? How you doing, man? He says, I got an idea for Scream 7. Say the Ghostface go have attack dogs to kill people, and they have guard dogs as new hound, and guarding the factory is real. That would be a perfect way to the cult. Yeah, I mean, I would like that idea. I would definitely like that idea. But that gets a little bit too weird, after a while. Um, but definitely would like that idea. I mean, that would be something different for sure. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that though. I think that would be a little bit too over the top, if I'm being honest, just because the movie's not. I don't know. It's involving dogs in the movie. I don't know about that. I didn't know your opinion on this. What do you think of the idea of a screen crossover from the characters and how? Oh yeah, you actually talked about this in my other video actually. Um, we talked about this about a Halloween and Scream crossover, and I talked about it as well when I said that it would be cool for Nev Campbell and Jamie Lee Curtis, like basically collabing with each other to take on either Ghostface or Michael Myers. Now that would be pretty epic too, and that would be pretty epic if I don't know. I feel like Ghostface and Michael Myers fighting would be a little bit too weird because obviously Ghostface just doesn't stand a chance. I don't think because it's a real human. And Michael Myers he can't die. He's like a monster. So I don't know like what to think about that. I think Michael Myers would obviously he would honestly crush Ghostface obviously because Ghostface is obviously a real human, so real person that just wants to kill. So it's kind of in regards to that that's kind of weird, but but in terms of like maybe like Jamie Lee and Nev Campbell collabing with each other, that would be pretty damn epic. The guard dog idea for Scream 7. I asked you earlier what breed of dog would you recommend? German Shepherds, Rottweiler, Pippi, Uh, if I'm being honest, I think German Shepherds would probably be the best. I think German Shepherds would definitely be the best just because German Shepherds are basically like police dogs. They're basically like canine dogs. So I think that German Shepherds would definitely be like the best. Now pit bulls are pretty brutal too, but I think, definitely German Shepherd would probably be like the best. But yeah, man. Thank you for stopping by, man. I appreciate it. Um, feel free to talk about whatever you want, as always. You know, we can talk about whatever you absolutely want. We don't have to talk about just Scream. We can talk about, Halloween as well. We can talk about the future of the Halloween franchise. We can talk about Friday the 13th. I keep on repeating myself, but I just want everybody to know that, like, we don't have to just stay on the topic of Scream. We could talk about other horror movies too. So I just want you all to know that again. Um, but yeah, I think the German Shepherd thing, the dog thing would kind of be a little too much, if I'm being honest with you. Um, but yeah, Scream 7 is, we don't know when it's going to come out, honestly. But a lot of people are speculating, saying that, well, this is going to be a trilogy. Well, that it might come out in like 2 years, which I said that makes a lot of sense. I think 2 years sounds pretty accurate at this point, just because it's basically going to be like a trilogy. So, and if we get that big return, obviously they're going to save it for that movie. Um, that's just my thoughts on that. I just think that there's going to be definitely a um, it's going to be 2 years. We're going to have to wait 2 years for that. Especially if they do that big return. And there's a Ghostface epidemic across America, and people are dressing up as Ghostface by authorities. As in the past with the cult members and more costumes and kind of. Dude, that would be pretty awesome. Like, to have like people all over like the U.S. or something, like wearing Ghostface costumes. That would be pretty damn epic. Um, but yeah, man, I appreciate you popping in for a little bit here. I'm gonna be hopping off here though, like very soon, here in a little bit. Stay on just for a little bit longer. Um, but yeah, man, that would be pretty damn epic, honestly. like a Ghostface epidemic. Like everybody just dressed up as Ghostface all over the U.S. Um, that would be pretty damn cool. But yeah, man, I definitely want the big return that we were all talking about, and that's the Stu return, which it's something that we don't know 100% on. Um, I'm not going to speculate about it. Um, well, I'm not going to say for sure because I don't want to go into the movie being disappointed. So, but it's something that I've been wanting. All these theories about him killing Dewey, which I find plausible. I find that plausible because it makes a lot of sense. The fact that, like I said, the Screen 1996, when he was basically explaining, talking about basically how to gut somebody, like kind of reminded me of the way he killed Dewey. Like, kind of, it was kind of like the same way he'd like describe it. And then what did he say? He said, it takes a man to do something like that, or something like that. Like, well, it takes a man to gut another man. Like, so that's why it all like lines up. That's why it makes sense in my eyes. Um, Craving something scary. Uh, there's a photo of Steve Marker. Okay, structure with a neck brace and from the French movie, and that is Ruben might be alive as Steven when he live stream. I definitely will. That's very, very interesting. The thing about Stu, um, I've never seen that. I'll have to go check out his channel again, but thank you for letting me know that. That's very interesting. Um, I never knew that at all. But the whole thing about Stu, right? People say, "Oh well, how come nobody wrote about him and all that? Like, how come nobody wrote? How come Gail didn't write the book about him?" It's because they don't know that he's still alive. Maybe they don't know he's alive. And that's probably why they don't write about him, don't talk about him like whatsoever, because they probably don't really know he's probably alive. Like, that's just all I could say. Um, a lot of people are speculating about like Scream 3 and all that. Was he in Scream 3 or was it Angelina that was doing the attack? Um, and that one scene when there was basically with Ghostface basically teleporting. He was teleported quite a bit in that movie, but um, let me speculate. What if those killers like Stu? And I just say that I don't really think so. Um, I think it was definitely Angelina that was doing most of the some of the attacks, especially that seeing the house scene where Sydney she sees her house, the Hollywood set of her house. Like, that was just weird. Like how Ghostface was basically like he was basically teleporting like in that scene. If you don't remember, like like Ghostface grabs her, then she runs inside, and then all of a sudden he's inside already. That fast, like it just doesn't make any sense. So, do I think it was Stu though? Nah, I think it was Angelina, honestly, in that. Because there's a lot of parts in that movie where even the Milton's mansion towards like the end. Like if you guys don't remember when Ghostface starts shooting, or when Kincaid started shooting, right? Or not Kincaid. I'm thinking of Sydney. Sydney starts. She shoots Ghostface. She says, "It's your turn to scream, asshole," and then she shoots him. Well, he disappears. But if you guys don't notice, he runs. Somehow he gets around and comes out the other door when Kincaid comes, like that fast. So you got to ask yourself, like, how in the hell did he get that? How did he get around there that fast? There's no way that he teleported. You know what I mean? So a lot of people say, well, there could have been a secret passage and all that, but I mean, whether if that's true or not, we will never really know, I guess. But I think that was put in the movie intentionally. And that seems just really, really suspicious. There's two kill. It seemed like there was two killers, doing the attack. Like Sydney shot one of them, and then the other one comes out running out of the other door. All of a sudden, he's behind Sydney that fast. Attacks Kincaid. It's just I don't know. It's weird. I find that scene very weird. But definitely think it was Angelina, not Stu. Stu is definitely alive, I think, but I don't think it was. I don't think he was in the Scream 3 or nothing. Say we're in a prison scene when we see somebody dressed up as Ghostface killing people, and that Ghostface is Stu in jail. He escapes and dressed up as Ghostface, and Nicole save him. Oh, yeah, that's something that I've always wanted. Like I wanted him to be like in jail. Maybe something like maybe he's in jail or something. Maybe he's got like scars on his face. That's the one thing that he has to have in his face is scars from the TV. Um, that makes the most sense. Um, a lot of people's been speculating if he's in jail, and I think that he's in jail. Um, honestly, I think he's been in jail this whole time. And he probably ended up escaping jail. So either one of the or he's either in jail or he just escaped and he's still alive. Maybe his family just hid him or something. Uh, that was the whole plan with Randy as well, aka Jim Kennedy's character. Um, that they planned on bringing him back. They said that they were going to say that he basically survived Scream 2. Um, going to say that his family basically like hid him away or whatever. But they decided not to do that because I guess they didn't really like the idea. I don't think it was that they hated the idea. I just think that like it was because they had a rule, bringing back, dead characters, bringing dead characters back, from the dead. Like they had that rule, so they decided, just to keep him dead. That's very interesting. That Stu's basically not the only one. if Stu's in jail, why wouldn't plan? If Stu is in jail, why wouldn't plan his revenge on Sydney after all these years? When he could be. Yeah, you kind of make a point there. Like, I don't think that if he was in jail, he wouldn't be able to get out. He would be like in custody. So I don't think that he still could be like walking free. You know what I mean? And that's how he comes back. Maybe he changes his identity. Maybe he changes, everything. His name, his identity. Everybody finds out it's still alive and he acts like he's redeemed, but secretly he's back to being Ghostface. And everyone can see he's been lying to everyone the whole time. What do you... So everybody finds out he's still lying. See, he's been lying to. Yeah, I definitely think that's definitely going to be pretty interesting. Just the reaction, like Sydney and all that. I think that's going to be really interesting. I think it's going to be interesting, the reaction, when she sees him. Because she believed that he was dead all these years from the TV. But then he shows up, and all of a sudden she's just basically surprised and whatnot. I'll definitely be pretty interesting. She'd be probably in disbelief. And I've heard this theory as well that Dewey knew that, Stu was alive and that he did not tell, um, he did not tell Sydney. Like basically this is just my theory, okay? I think that he secretly knew that Stu was alive and that he just didn't want to tell Sydney. That he was just too like scared, too nervous to tell her probably. That's just my theory. Maybe he knew all these years, and that's just my theory because in Scream 5, if you don't remember, he was basically talking about Stu. In that scene where, Mindy was explaining the rules and whatnot. Um, he was basically saying that Stu Stu is Billy's accomplice. Like he talks about him as if he's like still alive. Like he talks about him in like the present tense and not the past tense. You know what I mean? So it seems like he's basically telling you, that he is instead of saying that he was. Like, you know what I mean? So that's just my theory. I just think that Dewey possibly knew all this time, that he was alive. Just didn't want to say it to Sydney, and then obviously Stu comes back and Stu is the one that ends up, killing Dewey, which I still find that plausible. I think that him killing Dewey makes a lot of sense. He tried to kill him in 1996 and then um, didn't get the job done, but did it this time. That's why he said it was an honor. It was an honor to finally get the job done. You know what I mean? So that's just my theory, anyways. Say in Scream 7, we see somebody doing release from in one item. So say in Screen 7, we see somebody doing release from in I want to say it's brother. We see the doors open and Stu and he says, "I'm coming for you, Sydney. You better watch out." Oh, that would be pretty epic. I'm really, really, you know, I want to see like her reaction. You know what I mean? Say when like if Gail's involved too, because Gail obviously we don't know if she's gonna die in Scream 7. She could definitely die because who knows? I guess we don't really know. But I would like to see like Gale involved in that too. Maybe Sydney and maybe Sydney and Gale are both see him alive and they're like in disbelief or something like, or maybe like Kirby or something like sees him for the first time. Who knows? She didn't die in Scream 6, so she could come back. Will she? I mean, I don't really know. I'm assuming that she will. Um, and also there's this theory about like Charlie and all that. Just because Kirby came back, people are saying that Charlie he's out, out to get revenge on her and all this and that. Like, you know. But me personally, I don't really know. I'm thinking like all these other killers, failed to do what Stu did. You know what I mean? Like Stu basically faked his own death, and all these other killers basically didn't think to do that at all. You know what I mean? So that's just what I think. Um, but the whole like Charlie Walker thing doesn't make any sense. A lot of people find that plausible. A lot of people find the Jill theory, plausible. But I don't like that theory whatsoever. Like, I think the only character that should come back is Stu. And people always ask me, like, why do you think Stu should come back, but Jill can't? Like, why shouldn't? So if you think that Jill could come back, or if you think that Stu could come back, how come Jill couldn't? Well, because there's two different, there's two different, they died two different ways, right? Jill died from getting electrocuted in the head, right? She got the paddles to the head, so therefore her brain would basically be like fried. Okay, and then you got Charlie that gets stabbed in the heart, basically, which I think it was the heart. You could say with just hit his chest, but I think it was his heart. I think it went through his heart, honestly. Um, so you got him that gets stabbed in the heart, and then you got Stu who gets a TV dropped on him, who has it, who has his hands up. He has his hands up, clear as day. If you go watch the movie, he's got his arms up, like as if he was lifting off his head. So, a lot of people just overestimate, oh, well, Stu can't come back, but Jill can. Like, what's the difference between Jill and Stu? You know what I mean? Stu got a TV dropped on him. Jill got electrocuted. You know what I mean? Like, there's basically no. A lot of people say, well, the TV was electricity. No, it wasn't. Electricity does not flow in the front of the glass. Like when the TV hit him, it would flow probably in the back of the TV, not in the front. Especially in like the older TVs, like the newer ones. I don't really know. Like the newer ones ain't as heavy as they were back then, but the ones back then, you know, that's just not how it works. Like electricity does not flow through the front of the TV. You know what I mean? Like it's not how it works. So, a lot of people who say, oh, they don't like the people who don't like Steve say that basically, you know, oh, they were going to bring him back, but they didn't like that idea, so they decided to keep him dead. I know they wanted to bring him back because you know he's not dead. Like, why would they try to bring him back if he was dead? Like, so that's the difference. If we go back to Woodsboro, will they go to the actors who had like first movie? They built a replica again, like I think that.
We should go to the actual stew house. Yeah, I think that we should go back to the actual stew house because if you're gonna have Steve return, I think that that's the best way to do it. You know, if you're planning on bringing him back in any capacity, you have to involve like something like his house because yeah, Street Five was it. I think that was just a replica, like you said. Um, it was just a replica, so realistically, that wasn't the real house. Um, but it was basically the same. It was basically his house, but just like rebuilt. You know what I mean? But it actually used the original like house, the original, the original structure, the original house from 1996. I think that would be epic. And that you know what else would be cool too? To see like Sydney's old house. Maybe like we see her old house from 1996. That something like that would be pretty damn epic as well. Just seeing her house, back, her old house that she used to live in. I mean, that would be pretty cool too. And maybe she like lives there again, or maybe she just lives somewhere else. You know what I mean? Because I feel like if she's gonna be in isolation, especially after this movie, because I think this movie is definitely gonna be her last. Don't think she's gonna come back. I think it's definitely gonna be her like happy ending. She's gonna end if Stu returns. She's gonna end Stu once and for all. She's gonna kill him. She's gonna be the one to kill him, and then after that, that's gonna be it. No more Sydney. Just carry on to the next generation. You know what I mean? Um, that's just the way I feel they should do it. Can you only can you only Cindy's face and her reaction when recognizing the voice, the ghost face mask, and the killer takes off the mask and reveals to be Stu? Can you imagine her reaction? Yeah, exactly. Like I just can't imagine her reaction. Like her reaction would probably be like I don't know what she would say, honestly. Um, she's definitely gonna be in disbelief for sure. Because she definitely thought that she killed him 100%, you know? If Steve's alive, why don't you think Dewey didn't sit in the truth? He's like, no, he was on the right. I didn't hear from the truth. He didn't have time for the shit over the years. Yeah, I think honestly that Dewey knew, this is just my theory. I think he knew all these years. I think he knew all these years that Stu was still living, that he survived the TV, but he didn't want to tell Sydney because maybe he was trying to protect her from the truth. You know what I mean? Maybe he was just trying to protect her and it had nothing to do with him. He was just trying to protect her, you know what I mean? Um, that's just what I think personally. Because, like I said, go back to Scream 5 when he said he is, Billy's accomplice. That tells you that he was basically talking about Stu in the present tense. So it seemed like he kind of like already knew that he already kind of knew that he was like still living, like you know what I mean? Like even Randy, I think Randy even knew possibly. I don't know if you know that, if you believe that theory, but I think even Randy even knows. I think he even knew before he even died. Like when Ethan attacked Kirby in Scream 6, he stabbed her in the exact same place where Charlie Walker's name. Can you imagine the man being stabbed in the exact same place? Attention did. In the exact same place. I don't remember that.
I don't think that he did. Um, I don't quite remember that because I know Charlie stabbed her in Scream 4, but I don't think Kirby's house was in Scream 6. So if you kind of tell me like what you mean, because I don't think her house was definitely not in Scream 6. So oh, okay, I kind of get what you mean now. Like you kind of mean you mean that Ethan stabbed Kirby the way that Charlie did, basically. Like I get you. I get you now. That's definitely crazy because that's just, stabbed in the exact same place that Charlie did. No, I get what you mean. For a minute there, I was kind of like didn't really understand what you were saying. But yeah, there's a lot of speculation, about Charlie Walker as well, which I just always debunk. I always tell people, you know, that's something that I just don't believe. Okay, which person would you rather come back? Okay, Charlie Walker, Jill, Stu Macher, or Angelina? Like, which one would you say that you would really want back? 100%. And the two that I would say would be Stu and Angelina. I think Angelina definitely makes probably the most sense because Angelina was definitely, she was, this is my theory. You guys know how I feel about this. I always talk about this in my videos. Like, she was the second, so my theory is that she was the second killer in Scream 3. She was secretly Roman's partner, right? As you can see in the movie, it kind of shows that. Um, some scenes are kind of the way she was acting in the movie, like she was just like kind of suspicious throughout the whole movie, right? Well, originally they were going to actually make her the killer, but they were going to say that she was going to be like Roman's partner originally, but they still filmed it as if she was still, but just wasn't revealed as the second killer. You know what I mean? She was originally the original plan was that she was going to be Sydney's partner or Sydney's she was going to be what am I saying? Excuse me. I meant to say she was going to be Roman's partner, but she was going to be like obsessed with Sydney. Like and she was going to be like she was supposed to have go like went to school with her or whatever. That was like the original like idea that basically she was going to basically go to school with Sydney basically and whatnot, right? That was the original idea, but they decided to scrap that, and but they still filmed the movie as if she was a second killer, um, as if she was, Roman's partner still. So the thing that I find weird is that she was never on the official kill list of Scream 3. If you go look at the official kill list of Scream 3, she's not, no, she's nowhere to be found. Like on that, on the kill list. So that's kind of a little suspect to me. That she wasn't on the kill list. She wasn't on the official kill list. Um, that we did not see her get stabbed. By the way, we never seen her get stabbed. Like we just seen her body get dragged away. When supposedly gets killed. Like so, it's just one of those things that it just makes the most sense. For her to come back because she's not on the official kill list. Like nowhere. Well, people say, well, Stu is, but The reason why Stu is on the official kill list because they don't want you to know that he's alive. You know what I mean? Angelina, though, Angelina and Stu would make the most sense, though, just because of the reasons that, you know, because of those reasons. Angelina, we did not see her get killed whatsoever. We just seen her body get dragged away. And we don't know if she escaped. We don't know anything. We don't know. My theory is that she escaped. You know what I mean? Like she possibly had escaped maybe the mansion or something after supposedly getting stabbed. Like, because she's not on the official kill list. Like, so that's just kind of strange to me. Um, the way they did that. Um, so yeah, my theory is that she possibly got away. You know, maybe she was in fear of maybe getting caught by the police. You know what I mean? So that's just my theory. You know what I mean? Think she just escaped the mansion because she didn't want to get in trouble. You know, because she's not an official killer. So it makes too much sense. So Stu and Angelina would definitely be a pretty good duo. And five, why didn't they go to the actual house itself instead of Billy? Replica, is it because the owner of the house on the left um the film there was there was too much oh, you're basically saying that the replica of Screen 7 that goes in there. Oh, I get you mean. So you're basically saying that you're basically giving the like the possible reason, possibly maybe why they didn't add like the actual house. Um, I don't know what you mean. Can you kind of like tell me what you mean by that? Like, with your honest opinion, I think if they do a remake of Screen, I think Mary Miranda cover would be able to sit in her season. Yeah, I spoke about I spoke about my opinions about a remake of Scream. Um, I don't I don't hate it. Um, I don't hate the idea. It's just the fact that if they're gonna rehash, Scream 1996, I don't see the point. You know, I'd much rather them go their own direction and just do their own remake and not rehash, the same scenes from 1996. Have a wannabe Randy, have a wannabe Sydney, have a wannabe, Dewey, have a wannabe Gail. You know, I just don't want it. I don't want to rehash of 1996. I don't want to wannabe Stu or wannabe Billy either. Like, so that's basically about any problem, with a Scream remake. If they don't do that, hey, I wouldn't mind it. But if they did do, that's the only way. Like, that would be my only problem, though. Like, if they did a remake, that's one thing I don't want. The one thing I don't want them to do. Like, I don't want them to rehash Scream 1996, like shot by shot. You know what I mean? Like, can't have it. That film was good. There's just no need. There's no need to rehash it. I would love to go to Sydney's old house because that would be a perfect place. Yes, that's what I just said too. I said that how cool would it be for Sydney's house to come back, like Sydney's old house from Scream 1996? You know what I mean? That would be pretty epic too. Like, especially if we go back to Woodsboro, which If you're gonna do Stu's Return, I think that you should go back to Woodsboro. I think it makes a lot of sense. You know, um, definitely makes a lot of sense. Because why would you go anywhere else? Because I think Stu's house is in Woodsboro. So, well, it's in California in real life. In real life, um, so is Sydney's house. The real house is in California, but obviously in the movie it's Woodsboro. So it just makes perfect sense. What Dewey did, who never nothing to that Stu is Johnson and that's Stu's life with the honest opinion. Honestly, do not know who would tell her. I mean, I don't really know who else would really know. Um, I do think that Dewey knew. I think that Randy knew. I think Randy 100% knew that Stu was alive. Um, I just felt like he did. He knew. Like that's just me, though. Of course, it's just a theory, but I think they both knew, and they, like I said, they just didn't want to tell Sydney. Want to protect her from the truth. So, and Randy was a pretty smart person. He was smart. You know, he knew all the rules. And the main question is too: did Roman know that Stu was alive? You know, that's another question because if if Roman was involved in the events of Screen 1996, he would basically be like involved, probably in of knowing maybe Stu was alive. Like I mean, he had to have known. Absolutely had to have known. How's it going, man? Beast Bendy, how you doing? Glad you could pop in here. I'm actually sadly about to, sign off here because it's kind of getting late. I've been going for an hour, almost 2 hours now. Um, but thank you for popping in. Appreciate it. When Ethan said recognize us, has there said no? John Walker used. Oh, you're saying that the okay, so Ethan had the exact knife that Charlie had, and Ethan stabbed her with the same knife that Charlie stabbed her with in Scream 4. I got you. That's very interesting. I never thought about that. I didn't think. I knew that Charlie's knife and his like outfit was in the movie, and so was Jill's, but I didn't think about that. Um, that's pretty. That's pretty crazy. Um, that's blasphemy there. That he used the same knife that Charlie did. Like, but yeah, I think I'm gonna be signing off here, y'all. Um, thank you for popping in, Scott Walker. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate this one person, Beast Bendy. Um, sorry sorry that I'm signing off on you, man. But I've been on here for an hour now. Um, so I think I'm gonna be getting off here. I mean, when you know, I tapped Kirby at the show and he says recognize this.
And he had his ass in that Charlie Walker stuff. Oh, I get what you mean. You mean that? Oh, they even attacked Kirby at the shrine, and he says, "Recognize this." Oh, and he says, "Recognize this," but he has Charlie's knife. Oh, okay. I get what you're saying. I was kind of confused there for a minute. Thank you for clarifying for me. I didn't know what you meant. But nonetheless, guys, I think I'm going to be getting signed off here. Hope you guys enjoyed the rest of your night. Get a good night rest. I'm going to be signing off. Charlie Walker. Or Charlie Walker. Scott Walker, excuse me. We're talking about Charlie Walker, and I called you Charlie Walker. My bad, bro. That's Scott Walker. Thank you for coming in. Beast Bendy, thank you for popping in here. Appreciate you. Even though, you came in like right when I was going to end. But nonetheless, guys, be sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Those of you who do not see this live stream and want to do like a replay, you could definitely replay it, watch the replay of the stream if you missed it. But be sure to hit the like button. I would appreciate it. With that being said, though, y'all, see y'all in the next one. Have a great night.